I've always wanted to create a 3D animated movie in Blender, and recently I decided to actually go for it. By the point you see this video, I'll be roughly halfway through, so I have no idea how it's actually gonna turn out. But I guess the best way to learn stuff like this is to just throw yourself into it. So in this video I'm gonna show you how I created these characters, these weapons, and this gas station environment from scratch in Blender. First of all, we're gonna need some reference images. I've always been a big fan of post-apocalyptic stories like The Last of Us or The Road, and if you haven't watched this movie yet, do it. It's quite heavy, but it's honestly one of the best movies I've ever seen. Once I had an idea of the look I was going for, I started blocking out a base mesh to sculpt the characters on. When making characters, I like to be able to go back and forth between different levels of subdivision, so I had to make sure the geometry was fairly clean. Basically, if you can make everything clean quads, you're golden. I blocked out the hands and head separately, then joined it together with some of this fancy topology magic. The reason I did this is because you usually want a little bit more geometry on those parts to allow for greater detail, but you don't want to waste computing power on the less detailed parts like the arms and legs and torso. You generally want to have edge loops around the eyes, mouth and ears, and once I had a basic low poly mesh, I subdivided that and started sculpting it to look more realistic. Character sculpting is an area of 3D that I'm really new to, but with a lot of reference images and a lot of patience, I got something that I was pretty happy with. I decided to go for a more stylized look to allow for more flexibility in the designs, and this also helped avoid the uncanny look that 3D characters sometimes have. I went back and forth between the head and body to make sure everything was at the same level of effort. It's easy to focus too much on the fine details before getting the whole model looking good, so zooming out and taking a look at the character in its entirety is really useful. Once I had a base mesh for the female characters, I just duplicated that and made some small changes to get the male base mesh. Adding a little bit more muscle mass and some more angular face features gave it a more masculine look. The script for the movie called for 2 female characters and 2 male characters, so I made this brute-like guy, this tall guy, this scarred woman, and then the main character. Then I went on to texture paint some eyes for the characters, and to give it some depth I plugged the color texture into a bump node and then plugged that into the normal. Then to get the reflections I made this transparent shell around the eye, and once the eyes were in place I UV unwrapped the heads and started working on some face textures. I emphasized the shapes of the faces with some darker tones in the shadowy areas and some highlights around the nose and the cheekbone areas. To make the eyebrows and eyelashes, I opened a new blend file and used a hair particle system to make the shapes, then rendered that as PNGs, imported it back into the character files as planes, and then finally shrink wrapped it onto the face meshes. When working on a project like this, the time spent in front of the computer really adds up, and that's why I was really happy to have FlexiSpot reach out to me to try their C7 ergonomic chair and their E7 Pro standing desk. The C7 chair can easily be adjusted to support many different sitting positions. When working, I would suggest using the lumbar support to keep your spine supported in a upright position, but I've also really enjoyed using the chair in a reclined position when watching a movie or just listening to music. The chair supports weight up to 300 pounds or 160 kilograms, and I think the coolest feature on the C7 chair is this breathable mesh material on the seat and backrest, and it just feels really sturdy but still gives just enough flex to keep you really comfortable, and it just feels good. Even though a great ergonomic chair like this will make you much more comfortable when working long hours, having the ability to quickly switch the desk to standing mode is such a great addition to your setup. Hold on. The table is really sturdy in both sitting and standing mode, and you can easily program it to have it go exactly where you want it by the press of a button. If you're looking for an affordable upgrade to your home office or gaming setup, FlexiSpot is right now having a fall sale, so click my links and use code C750 for the C7 chair or YTE7P50 for a desk and chair combo to save more. FlexiSpot is so confident in the quality of their products that they are willing to give you a 10-year warranty for the the C7 chair, and after having used it for roughly a month, I can honestly say I believe this chair will last you a very long time. So check out the link in the description and order yours now. Big thanks to FlexiSpot for bringing this video to you. To get some hair, I selected the vertices of the sculpt and assigned those to a vertex group. Then I used that vertex group to drive the density of a hair particle system. I adjusted the length and then used the hair edit mode to shape it into some nice haircuts. I used interpolated particle children to get some interesting shapes and give it some flow. To get some fast clothes, I grabbed a bunch of pictures from clothes I had lying around the house, then imported those images as planes into Blender. Then I used the knife tool in edit mode to cut out the shapes, lined up the front and back, and then used a grid to project some more detail onto the geometry. Then to make the clothes fit nicely in 3D, I used the command bridge edge loops and then deleted only the faces. This allowed me to check sewing in the cloth settings, and it sewed the back and front together onto the characters. Another cloth setting that was really useful was the shrinking factor. Setting this to a negative value expanded the mesh on simulation and gave it some nice folds and creases. Then I applied the cloth simulation and joined the seams. I repeated this method for a bunch of shirts, pants and jackets, and now we have some 3D clothes with the minimum effort. I wanted to have a couple of different weapons for the characters, and I decided on making a wooden bolt action rifle, an axe, a knife and a Swedish AK-4. I started with the most difficult, the AK-4. To get the general shape, I used this side view picture and traced the outlines with the knife tool. Then I started cutting out some more details and extruded those. I did some basic sculpting on the round parts and then I started adding more and more details with booleans. Now as a heads up, this method I'm using here is it's not really ideal and it wouldn't pass for a video game model or something, but for my purposes it's absolutely fine. I wanted the rifle to have a painted metal look, like the paint was falling off in certain areas exposing the metal underneath. So I baked this ambient occlusion map and used that to blend between this green paint and this metal material. After adding some surface imperfections using a bump node, this was the final result. And like I said, the geometry is absolutely cursed, but it looks pretty cool, so I'm happy. I went on using the same methods to create this bolt action rifle and this axe. The short film needed an abandoned gas station / convenience store, so I started blocking out the shape with a plane. I really liked this broken ceiling look, so I subdivided the ceiling plane and then separated the tiles from the grid here. Then in sculpting mode, I added some variation with the grab brush to give it this sagging look. To make the edges of the broken part look a bit more dynamic, I created a vertex group for pinning and then simulated it falling down like this using cloth simulation. Then I made the tiles rigid bodies and made the grid a passive rigid body with mesh collision so the tiles could actually fall through, and then simulated them falling onto the grid like this. I modeled some smaller tiles for the floor and then used this displaced sphere as a cutter to give it some damaged areas. To sell the illusion, I simulated some loose tiles and debris over those destroyed parts, and then remeshed and decimated everything. I was really inspired to see this cool look where the sun would shine through the broken roof and give these dynamic highlighted areas inside the gas station. I cut out some windows and gave them a glass material. Then I started working on texturing the walls. I downloaded 2 texture variations from Polyhaven, then made a black and white texture mask to blend between the two. This made it so that I could paint on the damaged areas in texture paint mode, and it was a great way to break up the tiling of the textures and give it a more dynamic look. I modeled a simple roof and gave it a painted metal material, and to add some depth to the corrugated parts I went to edit mode and then added some loop cuts, beveled those and extruded it like this. To create the objects for the environment, I used a very quick and dirty approach where I just brought in an image of the object, cut it out, and then extruded and shaped the details to give it some depth. This wouldn't cut it for close-ups, but for objects that are just in the background and not really in focus, it's totally fine. I made these shelves and started working on blocking out the interior of the gas station. To make the broken glass for the refrigerators and windows, I cut out this spider web shape using the knife tool, and then in edit mode, knife projected those onto the glass to cut it into small pieces. Then I split the faces, deleted some of them and gave it a solidify modifier. This was maybe my favorite method of this entire project. It's so simple and gave a really convincing result. At this point I thought it would be a good idea idea to populate the shelves with some food items. So I got this picture of a food shelf from Google, added in some cubes to match the location of the individual items, and then projected the texture onto the geometry to make some low poly models with a lot of texture variation. Then I made those object rigid bodies and simulated them falling onto the shelves in a couple of different ways. To make the packages seem open and empty, I simulated some of them using cloth simulation, which made them fall flat like this. Then I could just take those variations and put them right onto the shelves in the gas station, and the shelves are not empty anymore. The cool thing about making post-apocalyptic environments is that you can get away with a lot of mistakes just by adding in a bunch of debris and vegetation and stuff. So I made some paint flaking off the walls, some loose tiles on the floor, some water puddles in the low areas, and a bunch of random debris on the floor. I grabbed some images of ferns and grass and made these vegetation pieces to scatter around the scene. And for the background trees, I grabbed trees from Polyhaven, and I know I said I was gonna do everything from scratch, and it's really a fine line, you know, what parts of the project you want to put your time and effort into, but I just couldn't bother making trees that were just gonna be in the background and stuff, so yeah. Anyways, I scattered some grass and ferns across the scene and texture painted some dirt material on those parts of the asphalt. Now for the fun part. I used Blender's built-in ivy add-on and generated a bunch of random ivy on the walls and roof of the gas station, and just look at that, that's so cool. That's about it for this video. Stay tuned for the next one where I turn these assets into an animated movie. See you in the next one.